Alright, so we are back into another Dragon Ball Super card game video. Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it, boys. It's a JANEMBA deck profile. It's not much to say about JANEMBA, but I definitely wanted to go ahead and reintroduce a few different concepts when it comes to having blue-yellow in your arsenal as a JANEMBA player, a mill JANEMBA player, not the critical one, but you know, baby. But before anything, I don't know what I'm doing, guys. Before anything else, go ahead and like, dislike, comment below. What are you working on? Do you agree with these ratios of what you see already? What are you doing as far as the multicolored cards, etc., etc.? Join the Discord. Subscribe if you are new. Let's get into this actual deck profile, boys. Look at this. This JANEMBA. I don't know if you know, but it is a very solid deck. As soon as JANEMBA came out, I loved it. And this is a mill leader as far as I am concerned. What's new, guys? You know, you can't have 5 or more in your five cost or more in your deck. It's 4 or less. Everything's 4 or less here, right? Everything's legal. It is a untapped 2 leader. When you attack, you draw a card on both sides and mill 2. On the back side, you get to place 1 blue card from your hand into the drop area, and if you do so, negate the attack. Now, what's interesting about that sort of mechanic, and I wish they would come out with Q&A already before or as the stuff comes out, or the week of, but as I understand, the multicolored cards should include themselves into that effect, because they are blue and yellow cards. Again, if you look at the bottom right, the only thing I can think of is for evolve cost, as in if it's 2 red and green or 2 blue and a yellow or whatever it may be, you can't pay it for the same cost, etc., right? But you can still pay for one of them and then 2 for the other, so you can kind of see what I'm saying. As far as the deck itself, it's pretty standard as a JANEMBA deck. A lot of people like to tech in here and there as far as what you want to do, but the formula kind of stays the same, right? It remains the same. You want to go ahead and survive as long as you can. You want to mill them out as long as you can, etc. What makes this as a different deck in the multicolored cards is now you have access to a new JANEMBA card, the new Bojack stuff that mills 1, and some more defensive options. And now, since you're including yellow into that blue, because usually it's mono blue sort of deck, you now have access to a couple other things. And for me, the access, or at least the choices for the deck itself, is kind of minimal, right? I don't think you should stray away too far if you want to continue to mill and to continue to focus on. But we have the one Kami as far as a tech choice. You know, I feel like Kami is a super important card in JANEMBA. As soon as they fill up a board, you can't take care of it. The only thing you really have is Demon Sword and maybe Spirit Sword if you're running that as well. And that's really about it. You know, there's not really much other than Crisis Crusher as well. I can see this at 2. I know some lists even play it at 3. You know, you draw a card and then you activate main 2 or pay 2, and then if they have 4 or more battle cards in play, you KO everything 4 or less. So it's pretty good. And then we have the Supreme Kind of Time Lights Guide, and when you play this with Overrealm 3, you get to draw a card and 5k for the leader. This is actually pretty good, just in general, as far as the leader. On the front side at 10k becomes 15k, and the other side 20k. You can always swing at a battle card, which is what you want to do in the first place, and now you have that extra power to KO it. So I think that's pretty good, not only to have another body on the board, either for combo power or for just to draw 1 combo power, and as well as just another body to attack. But that is pretty much it. The only thing that I would say is kind of missing from this deck, by the way, from because I know people kind of skip through, and I know if you take a look at the deck, you kind of get an idea of it already, is probably the Double Striker Kai or Champa. And I think that's probably something in the side for me, or at least a one of, if you want to kind of reduce something of that nature. So we have that. We have Crisis Crusher for the Borgos, and as well as Kid Goku, and this is affected by Borgos because of Aegis, and I'll kind of get to that in a second. Dimension Magic, not Banisher. It's just your counter of choice. You Spark King, take a life, untap 2, untap 1 for the 1 energy. Sensu Bean, just so you can untap and use your pseudo combos. This guy draws when you draw. And then North Kai, keeping watch, because for me, the way that I play JANEMBA is I kind of like to defend the first 2 turns, and then after that, as my hand dwindles down, let them make me take life from there. And that's really about it. You know, it really depends on how what deck you're going against, but generally that's how I usually like to play against it, and this is no different. This is why I have the 4 or less instead of the sparking. JANEMBA, Agent of Destruction, this is pretty good because you get to mill 3, draw a card, and then you get to untap 1 at the end of the turn. It is a critical 20k, just like the Reality Bender, and as well as Demon Sword. This guy, 4 more energy on their side. Your side, you have none. You get to reduce it by 3. It's a 1 drop. A lot of people are kind of straying away from this card, but I still love it. It's a very quick clutch card later in the game. Like honestly, this still goes to the bottom of your deck, so you can use it for later, and you get to mill 2. So I don't think that's really ever bad. Demon Sword, just like the Agent of Destruction, is at 3 because both of them are very, very, very useful. You can even play this at 4 just to remove any kind of threats. 20k deflect body. Just make sure if you're going against Green Broly, do not swing with either one of these or any one of these. You will get KO'd. It's been a while since I played JANEMBA, guys. Like, I'm just saying. So just go ahead and use Activate Main and Warp whatever you need to. We'll kind of get to the multicolors stuff in a second, but yeah, draw cards, the Flying Nimbus because it's one of the best negates right now and in the game in general, and then 4 Whis because it is just a good card right now. I would rather not play Borgos because Whis is better just to have that yellow count. And as it stands, you know, you don't have too much yellow in the first place. You still want to charge, just like my other videos, the multicolor explain, and as well as the two deck profiles that I did in the last video. You really want to go ahead and charge one of these early on just so you can have your Bojack live. So the stuff that is different from here is the fact that you can use Senzu Bean to untap these guys and then use a Flying Nimbus or use a Whis. You can untap your energy, your untap 2 after you play a Whis and then untap 2, and then now you have these 2 active, or one of them active. So if you energy exhausted and place in a rest mode, and in the beginning of your turn you have 3 energy, again you just untap those 2 after you play a card. So it's those type of things that make kind of a difference. And the other thing is of course the effects. So the 4-drop JANEMBA, which I think, and this is another thing regarding this card, is that why don't I play the 2-drop JANEMBA that you pay 1 blue and then you go ahead and you get this guy in rest mode? Well, the reason for that is because you kind of take away from everything else in the deck, and you have to reserve. Not only if you want to play the Childish Heart line, you take away again from the yellow, which is the whole point of the deck. And the 2-drop card is good, but is literally the same thing as the Child's Wish, just for the Childish Heart JANEMBA, just for this guy. So I tested both versions. I like this one better. I can see why other people would have the other version, but this is just sort of like very linear, very accessible as far as what you want to do. And then later in the game, you can always just play this for 4, Awaken, or just go ahead and use Aegis on their turn and untap 2. So Aegis, of course, is once per turn on their turn, in which if you have cards in your hand that match the color that it's asking for, so blue and yellow, you get to switch to active mode. Of course, when you charge it, it comes into rest mode. Now, when you do that, or when the thing to kind of consider is Whis as well as Bojack, the counter here is probably going to be the 2 best cards, I would say, as far as to activate Aegis if you have it out. The other thing is that, you know, if you have a super combo, you play that and you combo this from hand or from field, you can go ahead and untap 2 after that and then have your pseudo combos ready or a negate ready for the next attack. So I think those are pretty good. And since he has barrier in 20k, he's kind of hard to get rid of in the first place if they attack it, which most of the time this guy is just going to be there in active mode, and you're just going to go ahead and use this as a untap 2. Would I play Shenron over this? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. Especially since you play Kai, it would be either or, really. And of course, the auto, if you activate Aegis and there are no other evil incarnate cards, which all of them pretty much go away at some point. You know, you're not really going to have any other cards on the field, so it's not that big of a deal. But as soon as you activate Aegis, you go ahead and have them mill one card, which is not very much when you think about it, but it does add up quite a lot. And the other thing about that is that not this card, but for the Bojack card, he is a blocker in which when you have blue and yellow cards in your combo area, as in if you combo them, go figure, you get to pay 1 yellow energy and then play this card from your hand. So now you have a 20k blocker, which can be attacker or prevent another attacks, which again, it's very, very useful when you do have both of these guys on the board, which is very ideal, but sometimes it's just not going to happen. From my playtesting, it's just like, it's just like, whatever. But when you do play this card, you get to choose one of their battle cards and switch to rest mode and place one of their cards on the top of the deck and into the drop area. So you mill 1. So all of these, this one, and this one, mills 1, and as well as you get a 20k blocker. So now I think what my ideology behind this, as far as playing 4 and 3 of this, is that you just kind of want the ratios to, again, charge 1 early on, so that way you can have Bojack active. And then Bojack in himself, if you have multiple in your hand or just in general, you can just combo one of these, either this or the Janemba if you don't want to play that, and then activate 1 yellow for the blocker, or well, for this card basically, and then mill 1, right? And then lastly is the Bojack's Pirate's Pride. So this guy is a counter attack, so it's literally just like a Master Roshi, is just like the World Tournament counter card that just came out, the Motoito, I believe. And then his permanent says that if there is a card that is blue and yellow in your energy area, reduce this the energy cost of this card by 2. So it's effectively a 1-drop in which you counter for the 1-drop. Now you have a 1 cost 10k body, or 3 cost 10k body, and then you get to mill 1. So generally what you want to do is just hold this until later into the game, and then just negate. So really with the Bojack, which I had to pay 3 because I forgot to charge a blue and yellow card, it's still effective. This Bojack, the Flying Nimbus, and as well as the 4-dimension magic, you're playing what, 10 negates in this deck, which is pretty average as far as a Janemba player, and it's pretty defensive as is as well. But this, and as well as these cards, do win you games because you're really just using the Agent Destruction, the Rally Impender Janemba, your leader, and as well as the Demon Sword Janemba to mill. But the other ones that only mill 1, the multicolored cards, really do add up. So what you really want to do is sit there. Again, it's very linear. I don't really need to explain or give gameplay as far as Janemba sometimes. Defend yourself, make sure to hold your negates until later, and then take life later into the game, so that way you actually have some card advantage overall. The Kami is drawing you stuff. The Kai is drawing you stuff. The Cell and the Goku are drawing you stuff. The Whis is drawing you stuff. So I mean, all of this stuff is drawing you some good hand advantage and some good defensive power. With Flying Nimbus can really end turns as well. But really, just this, and as well as the blocker that rests a card in or targets a card to switch to rest mode, is really good. I think overall the synergy behind this deck, and as well as blue and yellow for Janemba, is really good. So that is it, really guys. I don't really need to explain too much. I feel like I keep repeating that because I feel like it's true. But the goal for this is just to mill at your opponent, play out the defensive cards on your turn, or on their turn. Use the Bojack over and over again as much as you can. I highly recommend, if you do have a blue and yellow card in your energy area, use the Bojack as much as you can, even over the Dimension Magic, even over the Flying Nimbus. And one more thing to kind of note is that if you do have a blue card in energy area and you have a tapped blue and yellow card in your energy area, one thing that you can do in case you're not awakening or not using Sensi Beam is to use Dimension Magic, and then this should, again, waiting for the rulings, untap one of your blue energy, which includes this blue and yellow card for this. So after you do that, now you have the Bojack active, and now you have the Flying Nimbus active. The only thing I can really think of that this deck is missing, again, is probably the Kai. Maybe one more Kami, maybe some more yellow in general, and there's a lot of different things that are really out there that would really help Janemba in general, as far as a yellow package like the World Tournament Ranfran. That's always a good card because you get to tap something, and if they're not attacking with anything except for their leader, you can always tap it down, and then your leader can go ahead and just attack it. So stuff like that, I feel like there's going to be a lot of cool different blue yellow Janemba decks, and I can't wait to see them. This one, again, just like the last deck profile and the one before it, are pretty conceptual and as well as experimental, so I definitely want to go ahead and say that as well. Let me know what you think about the deck itself. Like, dislike, join the Discord in the description below. We are always talking about cool stuff. You are missing out on a very cool community that is almost going to be breaking 500 people in it. I cannot believe it. I made it as a meme, and now just a meme just to hang out with some people. Now there's 500 people almost in the Discord, so I'm very happy about that. And that is really about it, guys. I will see you in the next one. Later.